Welcome to Cinema 5D on the Go. Moving conversations about moving images with filmmakers and industry leaders. Brought to you by Blackmagic Design, Manfrotto, G Technology, and Olympus OND in association with Sony. This is your host, Nino Leitner.
Welcome to this episode of Cinema 5D on the Go, still in Las Vegas. Today we have Vincent Laforet as a guest. I hope I don't crash. Sorry, guy. Sorry, Vince. Yeah.
Me too.
How have you been?
I've been great, thank you.
Yeah.
And you?
So yeah, just tired from a week of NAB.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So, what do you think? What do you think in terms of 2017?
Yeah.
Is it still the year of lenses?
No, it's the year of the clones.
The clones?
Yeah. The lenses are awesome. It's definitely the obvious news, right?
Yep.
Pretty much every manufacturer's come out. Some pretty incredible lenses. And what's interesting, I think, for every filmmaker or DP is that they're getting so much more affordable, and the quality is pretty phenomenal. Like a good dark horse was the Zeiss CP3s.
Yeah.
I was very surprised at the new coating on them and how they feel very much a bit more like somewhat vintage lens look to some degree.
Yeah, you think?
Not crazy, but
yeah.
They don't have the usual scientific nature.
The super
I would
sharpness.
Say, of
oh,
Zeiss
that's
glass.
interesting.
They are
yeah.
super sharp.
Yeah.
Yet the highlights roll off well, and then you have obviously the new Leica glass, which most of us can only afford to rent, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine. We have a lot of anamorphics that are becoming somewhat affordable, which is quite exciting. I love anamorphics, but generally it's got to be a big commercial to afford that.
Yeah.
So that's the obvious news, right? I mean, you have to mention Sigma because they're really kicking some butt.
They've been doing really well over the last few years.
They really have, in that they're producing pretty incredible glass that's actually affordable for people. That's exciting. I think everyone's going to benefit from that to some degree, with the exception of people who make expensive glass, right? It's going to hurt them a little bit. But we're kind of been involved in this race to the bottom for quite a few years now between all the manufacturers, which is scary, because I know that everyone gets happy, including myself, when things go down in price and are more affordable. But you've got to look at the long-term effects of that.
Yeah.
They call it a race to the bottom for a reason, and first of all, companies won't survive, and then second of all, we'll have a lot fewer choices. So it's the old care for what you wish for.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I think what startled me a little bit this year, I won't mention company names because what I'm going to say is not going to be very nice.
Yeah.
But I have seen companies, let's say companies like FreeFly, that have innovated very well.
And others copy that? Yep.
And have others not just copy it a little bit, but literally almost down to the bolt.
Yeah.
And that bothers me. People know I have a history of FreeFly.
Yeah.
I don't have any involvement with them on a financial level.
Yeah.
These are just my friends. And it's not just FreeFly, it's a lot of other companies.
Yeah, I agree.
And I have worked with lots of people and companies on developing gear. It's a lengthy process. It's painstaking. And it's expensive. And the problem is when someone takes the time, sometimes it's years to imagine something, create the product, figure out all the pinch points, figure out why is this not working as well as it should. How could I make that release, a little faster or safer? How could I make that knob turn a little more easily? You put a lot of love into that, and a lot of time and cost. And when someone comes in and just literally copies exactly what you did and sells it for the same or more often cheaper, because they don't have to cover the R&D, often these days half the price.
Yeah.
You guys have to understand is you've got to support the innovators, because when I'm saying you guys, I mean people watching, because they're not going to innovate anymore. There's no incentive to when you put all that work into it, all that R&D, and some companies are bigger, like Canons, etc., Sonys. Some companies are mid-size, and it hurts them. And the small people, they really get killed.
Yeah. Well, it's really upsetting when the big companies start copying stuff, right?
Right, because
it's usually Asian, often Chinese companies, because they are really hard to grasp legally.
At this point, I would say it's happening a little bit all around. But I would definitely say that this trend became more popular with China entering this market and having no qualms whatsoever about doing this. what surprises me the most is that I don't try to get involved in too much of this anymore, but I will read the blogs and I will read the comments section. And when someone makes a comment like that, I'll see people attacking them and saying, I want stuff that's more affordable.
Yeah.
And it's my, why are you against this? And I think you need to really just think it through. Imagine, you really worked very hard on something and you mortgaged your house. Several friends of mine have done who are in this business to create a product. And someone just comes in and copies it and puts you out of business. And forget the business part of it. It's the innovation part.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to have people incentivized to innovate. We are all innovators. We are all creatives. We create stuff. We go out of our way to come up with new ideas, new ways of executing. Storytelling is the oldest, I call it the oldest profession in the world. Yeah. Other people call other things the oldest profession in the world. But it is.
Let's say there are 2 oldest professions in the world.
I've had this discussion, and I think cavemen were around drawing before the second profession took force. But who knows? I wasn't there. My point simply is that it's definitely arguable. But my point is, I lost my train of thought on that one. That you have to incentivize people to create. Yeah. And as you guys and ladies shop for gear, and you see something that's just a few $100s cheaper or a few dollars cheaper, do yourself a favor. I understand the pocketbook is what it is, but try to support inventors like Freefly, like Kessler, like Red, like Wooden Cam, which is now bigger because it's part of a larger company. But a lot of these, like Small HD, started out of a garage. Yeah. So you can buy the cheaper knockoff, or you can buy the slightly or sometimes much more expensive real thing that innovated all these ideas and functions. Just support inventors. That's all I would ask or suggest, because you'll get hurt. We'll all get hurt in the long term.
Well, so far it's still that the original is just better. It's in many ways, like different products I'm talking about. It's still a knockoff, but we see these. Yeah, as I said, the copycats are becoming bigger and bigger companies, and that's what's upsetting. Really, it's not just It's not just somebody ripping that off. It's somebody with a name who's ripping that off, which
is disturbing, to say the least.
It's very disturbing.
It's becoming normalized. People don't seem to care. And I find it very kind of ironic, because we are creatives. And ask yourself, how would you feel if someone just ripped off your work? It happens to me. It's not a good feeling. I thank people who rip me off or copy me, because they are forcing me to continue to innovate myself. That's different on a creative level.
Yeah, I think so, because we work on projects, and a project is over, next month comes along. If you make a product, you need to think about the return on investment.
It just takes months to just find the money, get it shipped over, all that stuff. And don't think about it. I think the argument gets a little bit lost when you talk about, well, this one's more expensive or less expensive, this one's better or worse. It really is about supporting innovation. And because I have several ideas of things I'd love to do, and when I see this happening, I gotta say, it's not the hard work that
it's very discouraging.
Do I really want to work on something for a year or two, only to have someone come in a month later and copy? I know people that don't post behind-the-scenes videos anymore, or promo videos, because by the time they release it a week sometimes, or a few months before NAB, by the time they get to NAB, there's someone with a direct copy. I mean, an extreme example of that was when I shot the Movi piece with Tab and you at Freefly, which was effectively the first piece that was made public with the Movi. We released it just before NAB, a few days, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was just before.
And there was someone on the floor on the first day of NAB with a bunch of Red Rock micro pieces that was copying the concept unabashedly.
Oh wow!
And it was just like, really, and it wasn't someone from China. It was someone from the U.S. And I was like, any of that matters at all? Yeah. It's the principle of it, and I was like, God, and that's pretty bold.
Do you think there is anything to be done, that can be done on a legal level? I mean, obviously that's out of our hands, but I mean.
Well, listen, I know that Freefly and every other company has lots of patents. It's very expensive to get patents. The problem is enforcing patents costs you a minimum of a few $100,000, and very often in the millions of dollars, just to enforce that. And that's obviously very expensive, and medium-sized, larger companies do it. But they're enforceable in this country. They're not enforceable in other countries. Yeah. So you have to actually intercept stuff at customs, which is extremely rare.
Yeah.
And it's kind of one of those fights that can't really be won, one that most of the lawyers will win. Sometimes it has to be done. But
it's easier for consumer
it's easier for us
companies,
also to try to quietly or vocally oppose people who do this and not buy their products. That's frankly the easiest thing, because listen, if someone knocks off something and comes off something that's 10 times better, that's a little bit different. I don't love it, you know, but I've always said if someone copies something I did and does it better, that's fine. We're bringing the level of work to a different level.
Absolutely.
That's fine. We've all built upon each other's work since the dawn of time.
Well, there's a differentiation to be made, like inspiration versus duplication, right?
Correct.
So, and that's not even a fine line; it's a massive line.
Yeah, but I don't think it exists anymore, and that's what worries me.
Yeah,
I don't think a lot of the generation that's around these days has any qualms about directly copying something. Literally, I've seen people do duplicate copies. And unabashedly claim it's theirs.
Yeah.
You may remember I did a series called Air a few years ago, where I went up in a helicopter at night at high altitude, and I literally within 4 days had someone with the same lens, the same camera, the same framing, and more importantly, the same helicopter company and pilot.
Oh wow!
Put a duplicate image pretty much on the internet, and that stung mostly because even the color palette, the way the image was graded, was identical. And absolutely no claim of, hey, shout out to so-and-so that I completely copied.
Yeah.
But just claiming like it's their own, and man, that's not good for any of us. I don't even care about the business of that. I mean, I do. I don't get it.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't get it.